Usually when people think about idolatry, they think about a giant statue or a picture or an image that you bow down and worship as your god literally. Now, that's usually. However, there are quite a number of people that have come to realize that idolatry can be a lot more broad than just simply a statue or something. There's people who today have realized that your habits and hobbies can easily be an idol. People have even realized that people in your life can be an idol as well. But one thing that I found today is that even understanding this, very few people understand the very nature, root, and essence of what idolatry actually is. From what I've learned, and interestingly enough, some of the old fathers of Christianity, I say fathers in quotations or italics here, such as, I believe it was Tertullian, if I pronounced his name correctly, spoke about idolatry in a very, very deep manner. And what he actually wrote about, because he basically said that pretty much every sin can be counted as idolatry. And in a way, Jesus taught me the same thing. Jesus explained to me that idolatry is basically demons trying to get us to worship and devote ourselves to things that they desire or lust after. This is why addictions are idols. They're a very, very, very basic example of idolatry today. People who are addicted to drugs, that drug is the idol. That's now their god. Most people can accept that and agree with that. People watching pornography and addicted to it, that pornography is an idol. Some people are addicted to alcohol. Other people are addicted to many other things, even video games. The situation is, a lot of people don't realize that it's actually a spirit that is leading them to operate in this type of attitude and behavior. And this spirit is what we call demons. You see, demons don't worship our God. They worship everything else but our God. And basically, demons want to live through us. Demons want to live their desires and their lusts through us. And they essentially also want to, in a way, I guess you could say, take our identity. So this is why a lot of people end up in situations where they're addicted to things and they say things like, oh, I could stop when I want to. I just don't want to stop. All of that is actually the demonic spirit that the person happens to agree with. I could speak like this because I had some addictions of my own. And if you follow this YouTube channel in order, and if you've watched my testimony playlist, you would have already heard my testimony on this. There's a time when I said I would not stop watching pornography. I didn't care. Even if when I got married in the future, I said I would just continue watching it. I had other friends who basically said the same thing. They didn't care. They would continue watching it because they wanted to. I've heard people say the same thing about smoking, that they're just going to keep smoking. They actually enjoy smoking. And then they do say that, you know what, if I want to quit, I'll quit. For me, that's basically how I thought. Until Jesus started showing me that it wasn't actually me that was desiring these things. I started getting thoughts in my head that I knew weren't me because it was not my character. It was not who I knew myself to be. And it started getting a little bit intimidating when I realized, okay, I actually would like to stop this for a bit because this is kind of weird. And I realized I couldn't. And that's when I began to understand that there was another entity there that was forcing me to do this. But I couldn't see it before. I've spoken with a lot of people over the years who have a hard time realizing that a lot of the thoughts in their head is not them. Even though it feels like them, sounds like them, and they agree with it, sometimes it's very hard to realize, hey, wait a minute, this isn't actually me. It does take Jesus to reveal this. You see, the situation isn't only that these demons take our identity in a certain sense. It's also that they want to have a relationship with us, a spiritual relationship where they become one with us. I've once seen this in a dream where I was attacked by a lust spirit. This spirit was basically saying it wanted to be one with me, and even though this was an attack, when the spirit said this, I had the underlining feelings that it was deeper than that. It really wanted to have a union with me. this is what ends up happening when we agree with these spirits and we take on idols. These spirits begin to have a relationship with us. And then when you say, I don't want to have this relationship anymore, I actually want to quit, that's when they begin to manifest and there's a conflict. That's when there's two opposing thoughts. One of, I want to stop this, and then the other one's, you're not stopping. And that's usually when people have the fight with addiction. It's basically an abusive relationship where you're ready to leave and they don't want you to leave. They want to keep abusing you. When someone's asked if they would like to quit something or would they quit something, and the response is, I desire to do this. I could quit if I want to. It's just I don't want to. The situation is that response is actually coming from the demon. The person who's saying it doesn't realize this because they don't know that demons actually can and do speak to us as if they are us and as if they are our feelings. They literally pretend to be us inside of us. And we think it's us, when the reality is, it is actually a spirit pretending to be us, to manipulate us to do what it wants us to do. If someone told me this before coming to Christ, I would not have believed it. This had been solidified in me, in one, actually changing my mind and realizing I don't actually want to do this, and then realizing I still had the feelings. And two, when I had a very serious doubt temptation that overtake me, where I did not feel like myself for some hours. In fact, when I say I didn't feel like myself, what I mean is, in that span of time, the feelings I had, the thoughts I had, I took ownership of them. I thought they were me. Until I went to pray and all of it left me, and I was in complete shock asking Jesus what happened to me. And he told me all of those feelings and thoughts that I had that I took ownership of, that I thought was me, was all temptation. It was all a spirit pretending to be me. This is a very important lesson for every Christian to learn. If you're an atheist and you happen to be watching this video, I could see how this may not necessarily sit well with you, or I could see where you may not necessarily agree. But this is what happened to me. What I'm saying to you is the truth of what I experienced. Anyway, that's basically what addiction and idolatry is like. The relationship and the unity we're supposed to have with Jesus Christ, that we're supposed to have with God through Jesus Christ, is what these demons want with us, and they set up idols to unite us with them. They need that idol to unite with us in that kind of sense. The reason why I say all of this, and I'm speaking about demons in this way, and the nature of idolatry relating to demons, especially with addiction relating to demons, is because in this covenant, the definition of idolatry is much broader and deeper. And when people find out they have idols, most of the time, the answer is destroy it. That's what people think usually when they realize, oh no, this is a problem. I'm idolizing this. I have to destroy it. Because in the Old Testament, that's what they did. In the Old Testament, in the time of the Old Testament, I should say, when they found that there was an idol erected, the answer was destroy the idol. So today, a lot of people in our time of the New Covenant, they realize they have an idol, and they realize, okay, no, I need to get rid of this, so they delete the pornography, or they delete this, or they destroy that, or they throw this out. How many of you out there right now listening to this video found that most of the time this did not fix the issue? I know for me, with my particular issues, this did not fix the issue. There's some things that you can easily just throw away and turn your back on and leave it, and it will be fine. I actually know some people who have overcome smoking that way, actually. They had to make the decision and say, I'm done with you. And they put it down, and they made a decision and stuck with it. In fact, I've heard a few testimonies like that. But I've also heard testimonies where people have tried to do that, and it failed. They ended up going back. When it comes to the answer of destroying or getting rid of the idol, this can't be the answer. This especially can't be the universal answer, because there's some things that are idols that you cannot get rid of. What if you find out your child is your idol, or your spouse? or even other members of your family that you just can't get rid of. You can't kill them. You can't just cut them off and say, forget you, especially your child and spouse. And technically, especially your parents, to a certain degree, as we're supposed to still honor our father and mother. Right? So the answer can't just simply be, in this covenant, this is an idol, I need to get rid of it. It doesn't actually work like that. Not exactly like that every time. This is why I brought up the nature of idolatry, starting off with demons. The situation is, we're going to have to do what's required in this new covenant, which is circumcise our heart. It's actually areas of our heart that need to be cut off. I'm going to share a very practical definition of idolatry that I don't think I've shared exactly on this channel yet. I may have. I know I focused on the definition of idolatry being the fear of God not providing or the fear of God not living up to who he is as provider, savior, sustainer, and so on. And then that fear is appeased through something else, and that something else would be the idol. I know I've mentioned this before, and that is still true. But on a practical level, I'm going to explain something about idolatry that I learned. I learned this in 2017, 2018. Basically, idolatry is a wrong attitude towards things that we like or desire. So that's basically it. I mean, at its core, raw, practical definition, idolatry is the wrong attitude towards something that we like or desire. How does this work with fear? That attitude is what often appeases the fear of God not living up to who he is. And that attitude then takes whatever the object is that we like and desire and places it where it shouldn't be, making it into an idol. It causes us to use or think of the thing that we like or desire the wrong way. Where do demons come in with this? It's demons that lead us to think in this wrong mindset, and if we give into it, that's how we become bound to idols. And with this definition, I hope you can see and realize how the enemy can lead us through these means of giving us the wrong mindset and attitude towards things and transform anything into an idol. So it's very, very rare, nowadays at least, when an idol, as in the object itself, is the actual problem. The problem is actually our own attitude that we've chosen to live in, and the spirits that seduce us, and even in some ways compel us to stay in those attitudes, to enter into and stay in those attitudes. So fixing this situation is actually fairly easy. You see, it's not technically you yourself that ends up fixing this situation, though you do have a part to play. It really is about Jesus delivering us, and he delivers us through his word. When we go to him about these idols, these addictions, or these wrong attitudes and mindsets, Jesus will deliver us spiritually. He will also speak to us and show us the truth. It's through being transformed by the renewing of our mind that we come to a place of deliverance. Once we've received this deliverance, it's learning how to live in the new attitude and living in the truth. The truth is, when you're watching stuff like pornography, you're not actually the one engaging in the action. You're just sitting here watching other people and sadly abusing yourself. So the fulfillment that people are getting out of it is based off of a lie. You're watching other people who are also acting. That's the truth. The truth is, if you're playing video games, and you're playing video games because you want to escape reality, you haven't actually escaped reality. And for some people, that's part of the reason why they play video games. They hate their life and they rather live in the other world. No matter what it is, usually when something has become an idol in one's life, not only is it placed in the wrong spot, but there's also a lie in there. Even if the idol happens to be just simply ideas in our minds. Jesus delivers us, gives us the truth, gives us a new way to think, and then we have to practice living in that new way. This might take some time. It doesn't necessarily have to always happen overnight. It could. But usually with idolatry, there's usually some kind of fight, and there's usually some kind of pharaoh chasing you down. Destroying things and distancing yourself from those things can definitely help. But the actual root of the issue is our own heart and our minds, and the spirits that are trying to control our heart and minds. So ultimately, destroying an object will not actually deal with the idolatry, because the idolatry is spiritual. The object is just being used by a spiritual entity. Now, with some things, Jesus will call us to actually give them up and drop them and say, don't touch this anymore. And then there's other things that we either can't give up, or Jesus will say, listen, you don't actually have to destroy this way. He could say, put it down for a season or a time, and you can pick it up later. Or he may actually teach you a new way to deal with that thing and say, don't think like this anymore, think like this. And then we have to maintain these things in the new way he teaches us. So it's for us to go to Jesus and have him guide us and lead us in how to handle the things in our life. Once we start doing things Jesus' way, then Jesus becomes Lord over those things in our life. I'd already mentioned that there's certain things that you can't technically destroy, such as, your family, children, your spouse. I'm going to actually mention 3 categories here, which includes this. I've already kind of said it, but I'm going to bring it up one more time in a very precise manner. With idolatry, there are things that you can get rid of which will help in transforming your attitude. Basically just physical objects and things in your life. I mean, TV, video games, movies, the entertainment in this world. You could easily put that aside. You can put that down, and that will help you in overcoming and having your attitude changed. And it's not just entertainment. I mean, it's also work or types of work that you can put down. Some even idolize education. Like I said before, putting these things down and getting rid of them does not technically always solve the problem. See, another type of idol is idolatry literally in our mind. We can idolize things that aren't even tangible or literally physical things you can touch or experience in this world. You can idolize your own ideas, thoughts, and fantasies, which can often be inspired by the very things that you've experienced in your life that are around you. This is what happened to me. When I put down certain physical things, I then started idolizing them in my mind. And Jesus had to really teach me how to put all that stuff down in my heart. And then there's also the things that you just can't physically give up. You literally have to just change your mind on, as I mentioned, children, spouses, and so on. The reason why I've gone through these things is just to give some extra help in being able to identify what potential idols could be in one's life. In this new covenant, idolatry is not as simple as just having a statue up in your house or some other thing that represents some other god. In this covenant, anything can become an idol if we are using it or have an attitude towards it that's driven by other spirits other than God. So in fixing these things, it's going back to Jesus and having Jesus teach us a new mindset, giving us a new attitude, and revealing the truth regarding the lies that we're believing, and the truth about where this idol's set up and where it should be, as in where the object should be placed where it wouldn't be an idol, and living according to the things that Jesus has given us. Because all sin starts with a lie. That includes idolatry. Now some of you are saying, well, I thought you said the root of sin is fear. I consider fear the lie. Fear is the spirit that's behind the lie, whether intellectual or emotional, and I have videos on that hopefully you guys have checked out already. If not, you can check it out. Now there's one last thing that I'm going to bring up in this video before ending it, and it's about the end times. It is very relevant, and in my playlist coming up after the next playlist, I'm going to be finishing my testimony This playlist that I'm speaking about right now will only have about maybe 2 videos in it, focusing on 2 very special testimonies. What I'm about to bring up, I'm going to elaborate more in my testimony in that playlist, but what I'm about to bring up now is just some points that I recommend really thinking about because of the season of time that we live in. I've said all of this stuff already about idolatry and about attitudes. The book of Revelations speaks about worshiping the beast. A lot of people are looking for the mark of the beast. A lot of people are waiting for the Antichrist and all this other stuff. And again, I've covered this stuff in my Antichrist playlist, which I bring up a lot in these videos. But the worship of the beast, very people really talk about it. I'm just going to say it right here. I've talked about it before in my Antichrist playlist, but I'm going to bring it up here and basically say that the worship of the beast is essentially devotion to the nations, the world system. In Revelation 13, that beast is a political beast. It rules the world. In Revelation 17, that beast is kingdoms. 5 before John, 1 during John's time, and then 2, if I remember correctly, after John's time. The beast is basically ruling nations. Well, how do you worship a ruling nation? Well, it's very, very, very simple if idolatry is basically the worship of something else other than God. And from the definition of idolatry that I've given here about just having the wrong attitude, people having the wrong attitude towards the system of this world and the nations, people being in fear of God not living up to being God, therefore hugging the nations in the world's system, could be classified as worship of the beast, as well as it could be classified as the fornication of Babel, since Babel rules the world, and fornication is also spiritual idolatry. I'm going to be coming back to Babel in a moment because there's a very important point to be made about her that's very relevant today. I've actually seen this manifestation amongst quite a number of people, and I've also been attacked with it. But like I said, I'm going to come back to that. Going back to the beast right now. The worship of the beast can easily just be simply people having the wrong mindset and the wrong attitude towards all the things that's given to them and the easy ways of living that's provided to them through the nations, including money. Here's a practical example. There's some people who, if they don't have money, they don't know what to do, so they pray and ask God for money. There's people who are preparing for the end right now, and instead of preparing by repenting from their sins and making sure that they're in right standing so they can be prepared for the judgment of God and be able to stand worthy, which is the reason why the end is coming, they're preparing for the end by storing up all the goods that the nations provide for them to make them comfortable. And guys, I get it, because you know what? There are times where I've prepared for things. There's times that Jesus told myself and my family here to prepare certain things and have certain things set aside. But I'm talking about those who literally have a prepping ministry or have a prepping spirit where they're packing up as much as they can, literally in fear of losing the comforts of the nations. My friends, I would re-examine yourselves and make sure that you're not worshiping the things of the nations and the things in the world. There's people who literally believe if they don't have the things of these nations, and I'm talking about the comforts and the easy things. I'm talking especially with the Western world. If they don't have them, they literally believe they're going to die. They don't actually trust Jesus to sustain them. This is very important because as of right now, if everything I'm explaining to you is true and can be taken as worship of the nations, that just goes to show how far we really could be on this end-time clock. What's even worse is the Bible speaks about the image of the beast, which you could easily just translate as the idol of the nations. Guys, there are tons of idols of the nations. One of them is a religion of Christianity. If you don't believe me or you want to argue about it, you can throw a comment in the comment section and I'll explain how Christianity is actually an idol. I actually have a video on it already. I actually have a couple videos on it. But these religions of the nations are idols. There's so many people who literally worship other gods in this world. Now, in Revelation 13, I know it's speaking about a particular idol. And the false prophet that erects this, he's technically Christian by appearance because he has 2 horns like a lamb. The point is, people are also in idolatry by worshipping literally idols that the nations set up. I spoke mainly about religion here, but it's not only religion. Because Babel, who rules the world, who rules over the beast for her time until her time is up, she rides it and rules over the kings of the earth. She's the mother of whoredom. And whoredom in the Bible can also be spiritual whoredom, which is idolatry. This is what Israel of old was guilty of. That's what caused them, ultimately, to be destroyed the first couple times. Today, people are in idolatry through entertainment and through a whole lot of other filth and abominations. And I'm talking about Christians here. There's people, if you tell them, hey, listen, I don't think Jesus wants us watching these movies and playing these games or doing this or doing that, and they're Christian, they're defending the very movies that are full of sin and filth. And they're saying they're not in idolatry. What's even more interesting is if you touch anyone's idol, usually the manifestation is anger. If you correct someone regarding something they idolize, usually the response is anger. Did you know that the Bible says that Babel, has made the nations to become drunk from the wine of the wrath of her fornication? In other words, she's made the nations drunk from the anger of her idolatry. And there's many people that manifest this today. I was one of them. I've mentioned a bit in my testimony. So I'm mentioning these things, guys, because we're in the end times. And the things that I just said to you about idolatry here, as far as I'm concerned, the book of Revelation speaks about it, and we're deep in it. Deep in it. There's people who would not be able to survive if they weren't given money. And I can tell you that Jesus had me and my family survive for about 1.5 to 2 years without money. We didn't touch it. And we survived. It's possible to do if you follow Jesus. Again, I'm going to be mentioning some more about that in my upcoming testimony, which comes to concluding this entire YouTube channel. I'm going to end this video off with this thought before explaining the next video. Part of coming out of Babylon is not just coming out of the churches, not coming out of the corrupt church systems and the churches of this world, but it's also coming out of the culture of this world, which includes its idolatry and its filth. Many Christians today are still in idolatry. They're idolaters. They're Babylonian Christians. The very last general commandment to the church in the Bible is to come out of Babylon so we do not partake of her plagues. A lot of Christians are missing this call, and it's because they don't believe they have to give up the idols that they're being convicted of. And sadly, when convicted, there's a number who are giving them up the wrong way. They're doing it their way by just destroying things or giving things up, operating in fear and in haste, rather than actually being renewed through Jesus Christ and doing as he says. I'm going to end this video here. Like I said, this last section that I just talked about, I'm going to be elaborating a little bit more in my testimony section, which will be concluding, actually, will be one of the playlists that will conclude this YouTube channel. My next video can be counted as a part 2 to this one in a way. It's going to be on the Sabbath of the New Covenant. Now, this Sabbath is different than that which Moses instituted, which Old Covenant Israel was to keep. A lot of people do not realize that the New Covenant does have a Sabbath. And like the Old Covenant example, if the Sabbath wasn't kept, there were some very serious consequences. People died. In the New Covenant, if the Sabbath is not kept, there's some very, very serious consequences as well. Many people are not keeping the Sabbath, and they don't even realize it's a Sabbath, though the instruction to keep the Sabbath has been given out without using the words, keep the Sabbath. In the next video, I'm going to explain what that Sabbath is.